Today I'll be interviewing an unconventional shamanic healer. We'll be talking about what shamanism is, the healing work she does, and how it all works together to achieve the best results for you. Plus, we'll be taught how to open a sacred space like a shaman. So stick around. Hello and welcome to you. Now, that unconventional shaman I mentioned is none other than the lovely Catherine Fewings. Affectionately known as the shaman in a suit, Catherine uses mainstream coaching techniques and combines them with shamanic practices. This propels her clients to achieve results in both their career and personal lives. She has discovered in order to experience success, you must first work on yourself at all levels, and this does include working with spirit too. When you do, it accelerates inner peace, outer achievement, and spiritual growth. She is by no means conventional, however, she is highly effective. Her mode of coaching promotes what she likes to call expansive balance, and it must be experienced to be understood. Now, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Louise O'Reilly. I'm the founder of Ascension Personal Development Academy. It was created to facilitate personal and spiritual growth in a holistic way for mums and women in small business. The Academy is 100% online, offering courses, coaching, webinars, educational videos, and blogs. All this is designed to help you step into your power through a spiritual alignment and to uncover your purpose in life and become the best version of yourself. Now, Catherine, now that all those introductions are done, I want to say a big, warm welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. That was a brilliant introduction, and I was struck by how similar actually our purposes are. You know, what I stand for and what you stand for, and that makes me even more excited to be speaking with you today. It just strikes me as, you know, that how wonderful it is that even though we have the same goals, the same aspirations for our human family, the way we do it can be still so diverse. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. And you know, when women who understand and stand in their power come together, our power is exponential. So that is definitely one of the reasons I'm doing my interviews, is to have women and to really showcasing their power, what they're doing and what they're achieving in the world, and like an example to other women to show what we can achieve. But not only that, to say, you know, sometimes when we aren't feeling that great, there are other women out there that we can reach out to. So yeah, absolutely. We are very much similar in our values and what we were setting out to achieve, and that's why we're a team in this.
That's so true. And I like how you said about you know, when you don't feel really good, you can get the support from others, because I think there's this misconception that you know, I guess when we put ourselves out there and what we believe in, I've had people say to me, "Oh, Catherine, you know, you look like you've got it all together, and you're so strong, and you have so many insights," and they think that my life is just always, you know, this happy rainbow. And I kind of I want to bust that myth. You know, I am just as dependent on strong other, you know, women and men healers when I have my little down phase. And just want to share that, you know, it's absolutely normal to have those ups as well as the downs, but it's nice to have a community of people who can, you know, they're heart centered, and then it can support one another in being okay once again.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you have brought that up. Strangely enough, I got a oracle card reading done last night, and I came out, it was to do with archetypes, and I came out to be the Fool. And the Fool often will put themselves forward and, you know, can become a bit of a joke, but will put themselves forward for the benefit of others. But then on the shadow side of it, can sometimes not acknowledge the emotions that are happening either with other people or with self. And very much for myself, this time the emotions going like this, right? We're in roller coasters all together, and people who are very well versed in positive mindset and wellness stuff and spiritual practices, we're not immune to those roller coasters. We still feel them. But the advantage that we have is that we have a whole, you know, chest of techniques that we can pull from and ways to help ourselves. And if we have some technique that we normally use that doesn't work, we can go, okay, that's not working right now. Okay, let's push that aside. Let's grab this other thing I know that works, that might help. And then we have a whole bunch of that kind of stuff. And that is another reason why these interviews are happening, is to add to the toolbox of techniques to help people get through those really tough times. I mean, when you're feeling great, you're feeling great. There are ways to accelerate that greatness and really, I guess, milk that greatness, which is really good. But then when you're down on the low, it can be a little bit of a struggle to get out or find the right techniques to.
You're absolutely right there. So I've got two things to share with you. So one of the tools that I have is, I guess, is now an appreciation for the whole spectrum of my emotions. Yes. So and knowing that emotion is energy in motion, and therefore it's not always going to be like that. So I can enjoy the highs, knowing that they'll come back down, but also I can really dive into and accept the lows, knowing that, again, I will come back out. And you're so right, in these crazy times, just yesterday I was dealing with anger, and it was so strong that I had 5 o'clock and I had nothing left. I didn't even want to go out in nature for a walk or anything. All I wanted to do was crawl up in bed and just breathe through this anger. And eventually I fell asleep, and I fell asleep until 9 at night. So this is really highly unusual behavior for myself. But it was just this having to acknowledge, hey, today just nothing's working for me and I'm super angry. And then, not even going into why. I used to go into why is it, and having to figure it out. And sometimes the why is still really quite insightful. But more now, my experience has taught me that it's about allowing whatever is presenting itself, whatever emotion is presenting itself, simply to be, and allowing it to be sometimes your own, but discerning that sometimes you're just a vehicle to express the collective anger, in my case, as was yesterday. But that can happen for joy, that can happen for sadness, that can happen for fear. It can be for anything. So yes, one of my top tips is not to suppress the emotions that arise, but to allow them to come up. And some people journal, some people craft, some people go for a walk, whichever way you want to express what is going on within you, allowing that to happen, knowing that it's not forever, that you will go through these ups and downs, and that there is light at the end of the tunnel. The other thing I wanted to mention when you were talking about the Fool, what came to me is, and I don't know if you've been told this, but for me the Fool is actually the most intelligent person at court. If you think about it, it's the king is the almighty and the powerful one, and yes, you hope that they're wise and they make decisions in a considered manner, but it's not always the case, right? And if you think of the people at court who are trying to please the king or even the queen, and they show themselves, and even the musicians, etc., build up expectations. And if then the ruling person suddenly is displeased, they can, at any whim, they can just get rid of I guess whoever was, was it the knight, or was it the dancer, or was it the musician? Whereas the fool always makes fun of himself, so no one really takes them too seriously, and therefore they can also get away with making a joke but saying the truth and sharing wisdom and being the teacher at court in that way. So just think about that additional dimension about what came out for you in your reading yesterday. I think it's very interesting.
And the purpose behind that sharing too is also to raise the vibrations of all the audience.
Nice.
Yes. Now, on top of your shaman work, you're also an intuitive coach and an author, and you have a book, 100 Days to Spiritual Freedom. So before we actually get into the questions, can you give us a bit of a rundown about what your book is and what we can expect to find in it?
I would love to. Thank you for that. So I brought it along so that everyone can see what it looks like. It is a self-discovery journal. So every weekday, you've got like a few sentences or a poem, and it is to empower you. It is to stretch the muscle of your own inner knowing and your intuition, and it stretches that muscle day after day with the different practices, so that you start trusting yourself more, and you start getting more clarity around what is important to you and what maybe isn't so important, and you play with expanding, I guess, your awareness. There's a week that I call the elemental week in there, where one day you're asked to walk through life embodying the element of water, say. And another day you're asked to do the same, but with the element of fire. And so the idea is, at the beginning of your day, you read, and then you go through your day with that awareness, with that consciousness of what is going on with you, what are you picking up. And at the end of the day, there's room in that self-discovery journal to write down what has happened in your day and what thoughts came through. And on the weekends, I call them integration days. So this is just wide open, kind of, what have you learned about yourself this week? What can you acknowledge about yourself? And we go into different things around also emotions and being able to embrace all of them. But we also talk about little strategies of how to get through a day. For example, a situation, say you're stuck in a traffic jam. How to best navigate that so you don't get completely exhausted and angry at the end of it, but you can use that time so it's useful to you. We also talk about the cycles of life and endings and the seasons, and how to be able to let go of the old so that you can be open and have room for expansion and growth and a new beginning. So yes, it's over 100 days, but you can do it whichever way you want. The first chapter is basically telling you that you're already okay the way that you are. The part 2 is that expansion I was telling you about, and part 3 is embracing those cycles and the endings and being ready for renewal. So we do things like writing our own obituary, so that we can see what was important. What would we like to be able to have said about our lives if this was the day that we were saying goodbye to our families and loved ones. So yeah, all these exercises build you up, make you stronger, make you more confident, make you understand yourself better, and builds that trust in your own inner guidance.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. I love the fact that you have those integration days, because a lot of people, get to a point where they say, okay, I really want to go on this journey of self-discovery. I want to do this personal development and spiritual development, and they go, but they don't allow themselves that time for integration, where you make those you reconnect all the things that you've disconnected, and you make sense of it within yourself, and you can reestablish your new beliefs and things like that. Because if you just constantly going personal development, what can happen is you just get completely burnt out, and it's just not a pretty thing at all to go through. You need to allow yourself that time to grow through it, and to really go, okay, I've just basically shattered everything that I thought about myself or believed about myself, and I acknowledge that I don't want it anymore, which is really good. But then you also need to go, well, what's going to fill that gap now? What do I really want? And that's that integration part. I love that you've done that.
Thank you.
That is so
Have you, I don't know if you had already heard of this concept, but when we have a spiritual expansion, when we see the world with new eyes, basically, the thing is that the cells of our body still need to adjust to the new frequency that we mentally and spiritually have been able to reach. And that can take quite a few days and sometimes a few weeks. And that's why, yes, absolutely, I needed those integration days for everything to be able to settle. And in those integration days as well, I've got like mandalas or just beautiful drawings that people can kind of either color in, or they can start doodling around, because I find that if we can engage in the creative process, again, you can kind of consolidate what you've learned or that new perspective, and you can ground it in your body, ground it on this physical earth through a drawing or a poem or anything like that.
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that. It's like an intention. I'm coloring this in or whatever, but my intention is to just allow myself to come up to speed with what my spirit is doing. I find that interesting because I love crocheting. I taught myself how to crochet, and as I crochet, I like crocheting like little toys and things for kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as I do it, I have an intention the whole time. Every single thing that every single stitch I do is with an intention, and I find that so relaxing, and it's definitely a meditation, and allows, sometimes I might even just do it when I'm not feeling great. I'll go and do some crochet, or I will do some coloring in as well, and it's the same thing. And this is an intention. Okay, something's going on in me. I don't know what it is. I don't need to know what it is, but by doing this repetitive thing, I can work through that and move through it, like you said, the emotions, energy, emotion, allow it to come, to acknowledge, and to pass.
That's a beautiful one. I've never actually done crocheting to go through my process, but it's definitely something I'm going to try now. So thanks for that.
Well, weaving is part of my ancestral history, and I don't know where it came about. I found a crochet hook, and I had never done it. None of my family do it, and I just picked it up so well, and I love doing it now. So it's interesting. Things just come into your life when you need them, and something as simple as crocheting can be very spiritually beneficial.
Absolutely. I mean, self-care practices come in so many shapes and forms, but good on you for hearing it, and good on you. I mean, I know you're a businesswoman and you're, housewife, and you're a mother. So good on you for taking the time to do that self-care practice. Because I know that in some years of my life when I was out of balance, I would put myself last and my own needs last, and be, the good girl or the good wife or all those things. And I was just emptying my own cup all the time. And it took me a while to realize that, no, if I need to be the best version of me, I need to give to myself, and those self-care practices are really important. So good on you.
Yeah, I would actually say they are most important. Everyone's self-care practices are the most important thing to you. And if everyone takes that and makes that their priority, we're all looked after.
That's true. That's true.
All right, so let's get into it. Can you please tell us what shamanism is, and what you actually do in your shaman practice?
Okay, I'd be delighted. So shamanism is a big fancy word to say the medicine men and women of the past, before we had 21st century doctors. And if I can step into history, a lot of people think that shamanism came either from Siberia or from the Native American Indians. And I'd like to bust that myth as well, because it is not like that. Every culture all across the globe for over 50,000 years have all had shamans in their tribe. And yes, of course, depending on which culture, if you're in Africa or not, they call them differently, and they had a few intricacies that were pertinent to their culture and where they lived, their surroundings. But really, it was just the medicine men and women all over the globe that were looking after the survival of the tribe. Now, the shamans were not only just, the herbalists and the healers. They had loads of other functions within the community. So they were the priests. They were the seers. If you needed to go and hunt, they were the ones in their meditation, in their practice, they called it shamanic journeying, which is the meditation to the beat of the drum. They would go and connect with everything that is the universal energies around to identify where are the deers that we can go and hunt. So it was very, very much about the survival of the tribe. and they had a really important role to play. Now, the traditional way was to never call yourself a shaman. You would go through grueling years and years of training, and it was more like an acknowledgement from the tribe's people. They would call you a shaman if they felt that you'd earned that title through, you know, vision quests and fasting and all the likes. So I find it like, even myself calling myself shaman in a suit in the beginning, I was like, whoa, can I really call myself that? But it did come to me through spirit. And also, I think now we've evolved, you know, we're in the 21st century. This is maybe less so about survival nowadays. And what the wisdom that came to me when I was kind of playing with this brand, and did I want to call myself like this? They were saying, you know, all of us have an inner shaman. And if you step into that, then you allow other people to step into their own, you know, that inner healer, the one that knows how to look after ourselves best. But the origin of the shaman was this idea, and all over the globe, it happened the same, independent of which tribes, they were using the beat of the drum to get into the meditative state. And also, all over the globe, they had three worlds that they kind of would go to and journey into to find their answers and the clarity and what they needed to survive, or to heal somebody else, to help somebody else heal themselves. And that was, they would journey to the lower world, the middle world, and the upper world. And it has nothing to do with a Christian belief system of heaven and hell or anything like that. The lower world is where the shamans journey to when it's about discovering like past trauma or past kind of suppressed memories. It could be, if you believe in that, you know, stuff that happened from past lives that need to be brought up because it's affecting how someone's belief system is currently working. So all this stuff that is also subconsciously held within the cells of our body, including, you know, the good stuff like finding out what our power animals are, what are our own gifts that we have that are represented in an animal, which is inherently our powers. All those things you can discover in the lower world. Whereas the middle world is really the world where, I guess, the unseen magic happens. Anyone who does Reiki or any kind of energy balancing work, they are all operating in that middle world. So it's the unseen world, but really where everyone's energies can be felt. So it's the world where you go, the Devic realm. So that's the realm of the trees and the flowers and the plants and the rocks, and you get to connect to all of their energies, the crystals, and get wisdom from them. It's also the world you would travel to when you want to connect with the elements. So the fire, water, and the sun, the moon, the stars, all of that would happen in the middle world. And the upper world is where the shamans go when they want to go and ask questions about the future. It's the place to go if you wanted to go and visit the city of the unborn children. It's the place to go if you want to connect with your spiritual teacher, and any question that you might have about, you know, next week, next year, or purpose, you know, a big question around your purpose, you would go to the upper world to seek those questions. And so it's the shamans can do it themselves, but it's also something that they like to, or at least I like to do with people. I like for people to be able to have their own shamanic journey. Yes, I facilitate the process, but I really trust that the people have to go and journey themselves, because it, you know, with all best intentions, anyone who is able to channel a message for somebody, or a piece of wisdom or clarity, even, I mean, I do it, but even I'm very conscious that I'm doing it through my own unconscious biases, through, you know, the how I was brought up, and what kind of value system I was brought up into. And so, you know, if I my shamanic journey see a heart, it will mean something else to me than what it might mean for my client. And therefore, I always love this shamanic journey, this drum meditation, because people have their own direct spiritual experience, which is empowering and makes more sense for them. And yes, maybe we can talk about it afterwards. But really what the shamans do with this meditation is empower human beings to realize that they are more than just, you know, this human body, that there is spirit, and that each one of us can connect with the spiritual realm all around us. So the shamans call this the other reality, right? It's like dream time, but we're awake. And as we know from dreams, everything and anything is possible. And we get messages through our dreams. So the shamanic journeys work like that. And that's kind of what I weave into my own practice. It's allowing people to have that firsthand spiritual experience. And I combine the vibrations of the drum, but also with breath work. So my training was 7-year training with a beautiful lady called Claire Belton in Fremantle in WA. And what she teaches is shamanic breath work. Because the breath has always been, you know, the natural. People who don't know, am I spiritual or not? I mean, just think about the amazing act of breathing. You know, you take energy from the universe, you transform it in your body into another kind of element that you then share out into nature, and so that we can all co-inhabit this wonderful Mother Earth. Like, this in and of itself is a spiritual transformation, and it happens second by second by second. So what my teacher was saying is, we need people to breathe in, to allow the breath to go through the body, so that the wisdom that is stored within every cell through generation and generation and generations from our ancestors, from our family lineage, can come out and merge with the wisdom that is all around us, the universal benevolent energies, the compassionate spirits. And she was very strongly encouraging. So if you bring your own best self up through the breath, and then you connect with everything around, that is where the real magic can kind of explode and the expansion happens.
Oh my goodness, that is beautiful. That is such a lovely explanation of how it all kind of weaves in together. So lovely. So knowing that now, would you mind sharing a bit about you and your journey and how you actually got to that point where you went into the shamanism?
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, I probably came to it rather late in comparison with those who always knew that they were spiritually inclined. I did a very good job at just not acknowledging that side of myself at all. And that's probably through my upbringing. I was brought up in a Christian family. The Christian faith was really strong, and we went to church every Sunday. And so anyway, also, I guess, the masculine energy of achieving and striving, and, you know, even the corporate kind of career pathway was very much what was important for my family, and me wanting to be loved by my parents. That's the path I chose to follow. But it wasn't until my early 30s where I moved from Europe. I'm originally from Switzerland, and I met my husband in London, and we got married there, and we had my boy there. But after the credit crunch, we moved over here to Australia to start again. You know, the mining was booming, so we thought that would be a good start. My boy was 2.5. We had his parents, you know, to come and help us be better parents and look after him when we were working. But I got here, and I was really very lonely. And I started, you know, this anger started growing up within me. And so I was working for Fremantle Ports at the time, and it's quite a stressful role, and I had to commute a lot. And there was this pivotal moment where I hadn't realized how angry I had gotten until that turning point day or morning where my boy, he just wanted breakfast, and it just was inconvenient for me. So I think I was probably still putting makeup on or something in the morning, and I just turned around and screamed at him, and he just looked at me with this moment of shock and then fear. And it was like the pin dropping moment, we were just both like far, and that was my moment of realizing, wow, Catherine, I have turned into this person that I definitely don't want to be, and definitely don't want to be that kind of mother to my son. So really, he was the catalyst. And I had been doing yoga for many years, and I had this beautiful yogic friend, and asked her, asked her for help, and she was the one who knew about breathwork. Nothing shamanic, but breathwork. So here I am in Frio at work, and I'm typing into Google, breathwork, and up came this Claire Belton, who happens to be in Fremantle. It was like destiny. So I went to her for a private session, and all this anger came out that I was very conscious of, and it was the anger towards people at work, and the anger of having been uprooted from my European, I guess, surroundings, and my family and my friends. But then, oh my gosh, we went so much deeper. It was an incredible experience. And we went into the anger that I held from my father, that I was very, very unconscious of. And then, that was the early days. So it took a few more going to Claire to then tap into, I guess, as I was expanding my own awareness and acceptance of what was, I started believing in past lives. And then I was going through the anger of my ancestors and into the anger of my own past lives. And I mean, people think that one session is going to completely change your world, and it definitely can. But my experience has been that it's a practice. It's a practice to uphold, and still to this day, I do breath work 2-3 times a month, just for myself, for my own well-being, because it's unearthing so many things that were very subconscious within me. So I'll fast track of 7 years, but I'm very happy to say that within a year already, my relationship to my boy completely changed. And people who meet me now, when I tell them that I had anger management issues, they look at me and they go, wow, we can't even see this in you anymore. And it is true. I mean, I said to you that yesterday I had a little episode, but typically now I'm really, really much more settled in my body. And it takes a lot for me to get angry. And I also changed my whole, I guess, perception to anger. I see it now as a healthy reaction when my boundaries are crossed. And therefore I learned to, as opposed to reacting in a cathartic kind of way that wasn't very helpful to anybody, I now harness the awareness, anger is bubbling up. Okay, what am I going to do with this? Where is it coming from? Which boundary have been crossed? And then I can step up or lean in for my own sake, for my own boundary, and respond to the other, I guess, in a much more resourceful way. So, the practice of shamanic breathwork has helped me not just with the anger management, but it's just enriched my life no end. I mean, I find it just so much more interesting now to just look at the stars, because I connect with them. I find like shamanism has given me that world, that magical world, has given me my creativity back, has brought me closer to the feminine, because when you're awake and you're dreaming, you can do whatever you want. I mean, it happens to you. It's this surrendering, this allowing, that when in my upbringing I was not really encouraged to do. I was very much encouraged to try and control and guide and achieve and push. So it's kind of brought this amazing balance back into my life, and that wonderful expansion that enriches my life. So, now when I see a butterfly, I get much more out of that experience than what I did before. I seem to be able to notice many more things that are happening in my day-to-day and appreciate, I guess, that we call them the little wonders in life. It's all interwoven with this breathing, going into shamanic journeys, and stretching that muscle, that self-awareness, that stretching that consciousness, becoming, I had phases where I would call myself a spiritual seeker. I was wanting to learn everything and do all those courses, like you mentioned in the beginning. And over the years, I'm now moving into a phase where it is very much about integrating. It's very much about doing less, very much about understanding what it means to be still.
Mm-hmm.
And that is an art in and of itself as well, especially, I mean, this is probably the gift that COVID-19 is gifting us at this moment, is how do we slow down? How do we be still? How do we still find richness in our day-to-day by doing less? And shamanism has prepared me to be able to navigate this rather well, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Now, you did talk about that beautiful balance. That's actually a really great segue into my next question. So I mentioned earlier that your coaching promotes what you call expansive balance. So what does that actually mean?
What does it mean? Yeah. Well, it's a concept, and it means that if you think about how you expand, it means that you have to navigate between the different worlds. So you can learn through a coaching or a training or from a book, and then you reach that place where kind of it either has made sense but you're kind of at that cutting edge where it gets a bit boring and you've kind of mastered this bit, but you're kind of stuck and you're not able to move to the next bit of expansion. And so you have to tap into the spiritual world to let that creative spark be awoken again. And that can also happen in a shamanic journey or in a shamanic breathwork, etc. And it brings that next level of expansion. So then when you come back, you're further along, and then you can, again, with your mind and books and training and talking to others, you can kind of expand this way. So it's like the two axes of expansion, and you weave that beautiful balance between the two. And I called it expansive balance because if you do both at the same time, it almost spreads like wings of a butterfly. And for me, the butterfly is transformation, but in a healthy and balanced way. And so your expansion trajectory moves upwards, but still, you're not out of balance because you're weaving your way between those two worlds all the time. And it came about because I remember there was this teaching moment where a teacher said to me, what do you crave for? And I said, I want balance. And she laughed at me and she was saying, no one wants balance. Everyone wants money, sex, and cars. And it oh my God, that was such a pivotal moment for me, because I was felt so wrong for wanting balance. And she was kind of implying that balance made you stuck. And so, yeah, it took me about 3 years to get into this expansive balance kind of concept. But I totally rebelled against what she said, because really, if we have that beautiful balance between the spiritual world and then being present in this world, that is how we can have this life where everything seems to just happen more easily and have more joy and more gratitude in our hearts as we move through what life brings to us.
Yeah, that is a really great way of saying it. And I can just imagine seeing it that, you've got one side, which is the very structured physical and now side, and then the other side, which is the very flowy spiritual creative side, which is very similar to a masculine and feminine energy type thing. And to start off on your journey, it's just a little bit and then a little bit and then a bit bigger and then a bit bigger, and the expansion, it just gets bigger and bigger equally, so you're just balanced all the way through. That's a lovely way of doing it. Now, so let me go back a little bit. I don't want to jump into that yet.
So maybe I could maybe it's just the right time to say in that fusion coaching, that I call it fusion coaching, it's where I fuse those two worlds. So you might come to me with, I'm stuck here and here, and we take you as far as we get there. And then we don't, with our brain, with our emotions, we're not able to move through this. And then that's when I take you then through the drumming, and I've started now also to sing in the last couple of years. I take you into this other world where we can go deeper. And it is sometimes a bit more mystical, but it has symbolism that you can bring back and then we're back into this world and we take you further. So that's what my kind of expansive balance coaching is all about.
Yeah. Now you have actually taken me through a couple of shamanic journeys, and the very first one you did with me, I think it was probably maybe 4 years or 5 years ago, maybe. I can't really remember off the top of my head, but that literally doing that, I can say, was the turning point in my life. That was one of those pivotal moments in my life, going through that journey, because things, even though for 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer up to that point, I had been getting all these little messages and I just couldn't decipher them. I didn't know what they meant. But they just kept happening. But then going through your journeying, with you facilitating that shamanic journey, it came together. It made sense. And I am a little bit of a rebel. So when I did your guided thing, I wasn't following what you were saying. I was just following what was happening with spirit. So I just surrendered to that. And that totally changed the way I move forward in my life. And that's what's actually started me to get to this point where I am now with my business that I have now. Now, the shamanic journeying stuff, can you talk a little bit more about what that actually is? And you have done drumming with me, and you've also done the singing. Can you talk a bit more about how that works into that as well?
Certainly. So first of all, I'm so pleased that an experience of a shamanic journey could completely kind of set you off on your trajectory. I still know that even though I elicit the space, it is you and your spirit. You guys were ready. You were ready to lean in and step in. So I always tell my clients, I just allow your own inner healer or your own inner spirit to be more heard, more clearly understood. That's what the shamanic journey is all about. But really, in essence, it's just a slight clap on the drum, and guide you either into one of the 3 worlds that I was explaining before, and that depends on your intention, on what is it that you want to get out of, what is your question, or where have you given away your power and you want to redeem your power back. Whatever your intention is will then define which world that we go into. And let's say I'm journeying on your behalf and with you, Louise, so we'll be both in the same room. I'll be drumming, and what I do is I use my own power animals. I have a few, so these are spiritual allies that I've connected with for my own sake in the past, and now that I've created a strong enough relationship with them, I can use them to journey on behalf of somebody else. And so you would be going into your own meditation process, and you said it so yourself, as a rebel, you just go with it, which I love. That's fabulous. And then I will journey as well I will become one of my power animals and go and journey on your behalf. And whatever symbolism and whatever experience I have, I will then relate back to you when we finished the journey. And then typically it's in the exchange of conversation that a few additional nuggets can come out. But really what it is that the vibration of the drum bring you out of your head and into your body, into your heart space. So it allows you to feel more, it allows that creativity to come in, which is that dreaming world, and it allows you to forget that you're just a body, and to enter into a space where you believe you are spirit and you are connected to everything that is, and therefore you can tap into the wisdom of everything that is all around you. So it makes you much more powerful, and it goes across time and dimension and spaces, and the sky's the limit, which is why I love it so much. It never gets boring.
Yeah, lovely. Now this is actually a business of yours, so who are the people who can come to you? When can they come to you? Why do they come to you?
Sure. So it's typically I typically attract more women, and it's women who have had already quite a few challenges in their lives. So they've gone through some hardship already, and or they're they're really curious. Like you said, you know, the ones who know that there's more to life than what they've had so far, but they don't exactly know how to access that other reality, or their spiritual self, or how to grow their own consciousness, etc. So it's people who have a problem and are stuck. It's people who have emotional imbalances and are seeking to have balance again. It's people who can have like physical illnesses, so a hip that's really hurting, or a shoulder, and you know, chiro and everything hasn't helped. Well, we'll bring energetic balance into your body back again. It's people who are just curious and want to experience a past life. It's people who again are curious and want to reconnect with an ancestor, you know, a grandmother or a mother that's passed. So there's lots and lots of different reasons why people can want to experience a shamanic journey or a shamanic healing. But typically all that I have expressed, at the end of the day, it's about bringing energetic balance back within the body, the soul, the mind, so that you feel more capable and better equipped, more at ease, more balanced, more inner feeling of well-being, so that you can face your life and where you're heading better.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you for that. If anyone out there wants to actually know where to find Catherine, you can find her at facebook.com/shaman in a suit. I absolutely love that that term, or that title. So on her Facebook page, you can find upcoming events and a massive collection of really useful videos. I've been there and I've watched them. They are very useful. Just lots of it is just everyday little things that come up. You know, little niggles in the day or stresses that happen. There's most likely going to be a video there that can help you work through that. And then, of course, you can contact Catherine directly from that Facebook page. So after you finish watching this interview, make sure you head to that Facebook page. Now, what we're actually going to be doing is I am going to be handing the floor over to Catherine, because she is going to teach us how to open sacred space like a shaman does. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. So really what Louise was asking of me was to be able to share something with you, like an exercise that you guys could do every day or whenever you feel like it. Something simple but yet powerful. And I thought, well, you know, we're talking the whole time about shamanic and how to connect with everything around you. So I want to show you how you can create that connection with the helping spirits, even when you meditate without the beat of the drum. So the way that the shamans open sacred space is, and why they do it, is to invoke those good-willing spirits to come and support the meditation or the healing or the experience that is wanting to be had. And for us as humans to feel safe to go and explore. So what we typically do is we call in the winds, I guess, of the four directions, north, east, south, and west. And then we ask the energies of Mother Earth to come and support us. We ask the energies of the good-willing spirits above us to come. And then we acknowledge the great spirit within. So it's the four direction: below, above, and within. And depending on where you learn how to open sacred space, if you're on the southern hemisphere like Peru and Australia, typically shamans start with the south direction. Now, if you're in Siberia or in North America, it will typically be the north. But you know what? I really, in the 21st century, I'm like, it's all about freedom for me, and do it the way that feels good for you. So you've got the four elements, the rocks and the mountains that hold and support us. For me, that's the south. You've got the west, which is the water element. You've got the winds of the north, which is the air. And then the east is the fire. When I go to the east and the new beginnings, I typically also welcome in the custodian of the country that I'm on, so the Aboriginal people here in Australia. And then I go to thanking Mother Earth, so not just for all the you know, the gifts of food and the animals and everything that we need to survive, but also for her, you know, that loving, creative, feminine energy, which I like to tap into when I am trying to be creative and artistic, etc. And above, the spirits above, for me, it's about the ancestors, it's about any angels and archangels, the power animals. It could be pixies and fairies. You know, it's this magical realm of everything that we personally believe in. If we believe in a Buddha or an ascended master, go for that. If you believe in Metatron or Archangel Michael, call them in to support you. And then the great spirit within. This is really about acknowledging that we're more than just flesh, yes, and that and this is my belief system. It's that undying part of our essence, that it doesn't matter how many times we were reborn, that essence remains. That's like, yes, the spirit us, that the soul us, that is always there and is actually always in love. And it's a reminder. When we acknowledge that, it's a reminder that all the emotions, etc., that we think we are and we're experiencing, that is, yes, that is a part of us, but it's never going to be forever. Whereas what's within, that strength, that power, that essence, that is always there, that inner flame, that is always there. So acknowledging it is almost blessing yourself. Okay, so let's have a go. I brought here a little rattle. So as you can use any percussion. Again, it helps just with the meditation. It helps with connecting to everything that is. But if you don't have an instrument at home, don't worry about it. You can either clap or just do the words, and with your intention, you'll be calling them in. So know that I'm going to just give you an example. What comes through today will be what is today, but you can do it whichever way resonates with you. So if you know, if you love the element of water and you've got lots to say to the element of water, say lots. And if you have not so much to say to the element of fire, don't worry about it. Just say, you know, I acknowledge you, welcome, thank you for being with us, and then move on. So there's no right or wrong. It's really just, it's about what comes from your heart in the moment, and to create that safe container for you to go into a meditation and to connect with the helping spirits after that. So let's get started. I'm just going to use this rattle, and I hope you can still hear my voice. And I'm going to close my eyes, and feel free to do that if you want as well. Taking a deep breath in and exhaling. Becoming present to the here and now. Coming into your heart space with gratitude. I like to whistle. Welcome, winds of the south. Welcome. Join us here today. We welcome the elements of the rocks and the mountains that hold and support us day in and day out. Winds of the south, thank you for the abundance in our physical lives. Not just the financial abundance, although we welcome that, but the abundance of experiences in this incredible life, the abundance of relationships that we can build, the abundance of emotions that we feel. All this abundance in our physical lives, we're very, very grateful for it all. Thank you, winds of the south, for being with us here today. Oh. And winds of the west, an element of water. Winds of the water, come and join us too. We welcome you. We welcome the fact that you cleanse and purify our body, mind, and soul. Thank you, beautiful element of water, for showing us how to live life in the flow and how to let go of what we no longer need, just like a stream or a river flows downhill. Thank you, beautiful water, for all the rivers, all the streams, for the lakes and the oceans. They're all sacred to us. And beautiful winds of the west, in direction of the west, you're also the direction of the setting sun. Thank you for allowing us to let go every day. That practice of welcoming the sun, and then welcoming the stars. May you allow us to practice letting go gracefully and with flow in our own lives. Thank you for being with us here today. Oh. And then we call in the direction of the north and the winds of the north and the element of the air. This is also the direction where I call in the ancient lineage of medicine men and women and the future children to be and all good willing spirits that stands outside of time. This is the direction that moves and shapes within us what needs to be moved and shaped. The beautiful spirits that stand outside of time and that are our allies here, come and share your knowledge and your wisdom with us. We welcome it all in here today. We want to connect with you deeply. Thank you for your presence and welcome. Oh. Then I welcome the element of fire, direction of east, direction of new beginnings. I want to acknowledge the spirit of those who have walked this land long before us. The Aboriginal people here in Australia, and the Yamaji people where I am right here, right now. I welcome thee and I thank you for allowing us to gather on your country. Come and join us and be part of this community and share your laughter and your sense of belonging with us, so we may feel part of you and part of this beautiful country as well. An element of the fire. Thank you so much for that inner flame that we are within ourselves. And may you burn everything within us that we no longer need, so that we may rise from the ashes like a phoenix, high up into the sky. Thank you, beautiful fire, for igniting our passion, for showing us what is important to us, for being the heart of community. Thank you for heating up all our meals. Thank you for your love, your beauty. Okay. Oh. And we welcome Mother Earth, she who is known by so many names, Pachamama, Gaia, Mother. Come, join us too. We welcome you. We need you. Thank you for opening your sacred embrace around us all, so we may feel held and supported and loved unconditionally by you. Thank you for showing us how to be compassionate towards ourselves first and foremost, and then towards others. How to be loving. Thank you, Mother, for the creator's spark. Thank you for all the things that you've created for us. The flowers, the bushes, the trees, the two-legged, the four-legged, the fin, the third, and even the creepy crawlers, Mother, they're all secret to us. Thank you for bestowing us with so much beauty on this wonderful planet. Thank you for holding us in your sacred space. Oh. When we greet the great spirits above, the sun, the moon, the star nation, the angels and the archangels, the power animals, the pixies, the fairies, the compassionate ones, the ancestors, come and join us too here. Thank you for connecting with us, either through speaking with us so we can hear you, showing us things and visions, a sense of knowing that you're here, or simply feeling emotions. Whichever way you want to connect with us here today, we welcome your presence. Thank you for showing us the way. Thank you for loving us. Welcome. Oh. And lastly, you can put a hand on your heart and welcome the great spirit within us all. May we be beacons of light, shining love and compassion into the people around us, our families, our communities, the people that are far away, but that we hold close in our hearts. Thank you for bringing us together here today. Many blessings on our journey. And so it is, and so it shall be. Oh. Take a deep breath and we smile. We smile as we take in these beautiful high vibrational energies that are now all around us. And this is how you can now feel connected, and you can do whatever your self-care practice is, knowing that you can be supported by all these other loving beings around us. And just know that it's always also good practice to close sacred space when you're done. So acknowledging the help and the support and giving thanks and gratitude to the four directions, Mother Earth, spirits above, and our great, great spirit within. And then you can go about your day.
Oh, I definitely feel very supported now. In my mind, I could just see all the support happening. Definitely felt a lot of little twitches happening in my body, that's for sure. Such a lovely, calming and supported feeling. So beautiful. So just a reminder for everyone out there, you can find Catherine on facebook.com/shaman in a suit. And if you would like to know where to find me, you can find me at facebook.com/Ascension Personal Development. Now, Catherine, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with us, to tell us all about shamanism, about your work that you do, about your new book, which was released not too long ago now, and also for teaching us how to open a sacred space like the shamans do. So thank you.
You're very welcome. It was lovely speaking with you. I really enjoyed it. Blessings.
Yeah. And to the audience out there, if you enjoyed this and you want us to have more like this, please don't forget to subscribe. So you can go ahead and do that right now if you want to. So thank you for joining us. My name is Louise O'Reilly, and I hope you have a wonderful day filled with spiritual happiness and freedom and all the support of the spirits with you. Until next time, see you later.
Bye.